Also, the bulletin, CSO's call on government to introduce a number of interventions, including the imposition of higher taxes on the rich as a way of redistributing wealth.
Redistribute from the rich to the poor through progressive taxation. That is to say, increase tax revenues by collecting more from those who have more.
I'm Israel Lyon. Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio. Kokum Limley here in Accra with digital address G80992539. Stay tuned in. A collaboration between Insura FM in Kumasi and the police has led to the rescue of a teenage girl who escaped from a matrimonial home in Côte d'Ivoire where she had been forced into marriage. The intervention comes even as relatives of the girl were preparing to send the junior high school graduate back to Côte d'Ivoire against her will and ambition to continue her education. Armed officers from the Misha Divisional Police Command stormed the Swase family home and took the girl away despite protests from relatives. My colleague Ohim Interior of the Security Desk has been investigating the issue and has more in the following report.
Police Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit has rescued 3 victims of child marriage in Kumasi in the last 2 months. They include 2 junior high school students and a senior high school student whose father has since been convicted for his role in his daughter's case. DOPSU officials say child marriage is still prevalent despite introduction of free senior high school and other state interventions to support education of children. Superintendent Susanna Derry heads the unit in Ashanti region.
Child marriage in Ashanti region is generally not that common. It is only found in certain communities which is occupied by people who practice different culture and then different religion. Generally, the Muslim communities, they practice the child marriage. But I also see that it is a kind of practice that they don't see anything wrong with. The laws of Ghana do not accept that, but for them, with their beliefs, they think that it is right. And so you go to those communities, they still practice child marriage.
16-year-old SHS student was being married off to a Wenchi-based electrician against her will of furthering her education. She is now back to school under strict surveillance of police and school authorities following a court order. The father was convicted and sentenced to a fine of 2,400 Ghana cedis.
There were cooking going on, and also where the child was kept. All this was gathered and then brought back to me. So we now embarked on the operation. With the help of SWAT and the anti-armed robbery squad, we were able to get some armed men to accompany me and my investigator to the scene. And we went in, forcibly took the girl out without anybody questioning because of the scene. They had seen armed men around, and we rushed her out of the area to my office and subsequently to a shelter for temporal safety.
The Council of Zongo Chiefs is worried over surging cases of child marriage in the region, especially in Kumasi. The council has intervened in several instances to halt some child marriages. Alhaji Musa Shuabu Sharif is the secretary to Council of Zongo Chiefs.
The community is talking about it, and then the Zongo leadership was also talking about it. The Zongo leadership has not been left out in this particular issue. Why? Because we are in a country governed by rules and regulations. And we have a constitution in the country that all of us should be law-abiding citizens. That is, if you follow the constitution, because the constitution says before any child or any person gets married, he has to be 18 years and above. Or else, if you do anything with any child who is not married at that time, you can call it a defilement. And if they take you to watch you, the law, can find you guilty, and anything can happen to you. Let me tell you, there's a cleric here some time ago that wanted to marry a child that is below 18 years. so many hadiths, that is the saying of the Prophet. I mean, a lot of, but the community, because he's a leader, if he does that, he's going to set a bad precedent to people. My imam or my leader or my chief has done that, and that one can go. So the community also stood up against that. So we will not agree unless the girl reaches 18 years. We insisted, and then we never allowed that imam to marry her until the girl reached 18 years.
Police believe culture and religion could be forcing more minors into child marriage than reported. Cost of resettling victims is one of the major concerns of police in the face of resource constraints.
Transportation is one of the very difficult issue we have at the regional DOPSU here. And if you have it will actually help us do more, because these things are going on. Sometimes, if we are informed and we don't have available means, by the time we move, maybe it will have been too late.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Ohime Interior reporting.
Now, Ohime Interior of our security desk, who filed that report, he joins us via Skype now for an update on this story. Now, Ohime, what will become of this girl now that she's been taken away from the family?
Yes, Israel. She's been taken care of by the police, DOPSU. As we speak, she's putting up a shelter, being monitored by the regional DOPSU commander and a team of police officers. So I would say she's doing well.
All right. But what's the latest you have on this?
Yes, the parents of the victim, I mean the mother and the father, have been arrested and granted police bail after giving statement to police. Police have also declared 3 people. They are looking for 3 people. The first person is the husband of the supposed husband of the girl, and then a sister of the man, and another sister of the victim, whom we are told play a key role in this marriage ceremony. And even when we went to the home to rescue the girl last night, this supposed sister insisted and even did everything possible to thwart police effort in rescuing the girl.
All right, thank you very much, Ohime Interior, bringing us that update from Kumasi. Moving on, the owner of the Zen filling station in Cape Coast, where a robbery attempt on Wednesday dawn claimed the life of a police officer, Lance Corporal Kingsley Boaheng, has been arrested to assist in investigations. This was after preliminary investigations showed spent cartridges retrieved from the murder scene were suspected to have been fired from the shotgun and pistol belonging to the owner, Isaac Ashan, also known as Nana Nyeku VII, who is currently in the custody of the Central Region Criminal Investigations Department. In an interview with Joy News, Central Region Police PRO DSP Aaron Opong said efforts are underway to arrest a second suspect to assist with investigations.
Has arrested suspect Isaac Ashan, the owner of Zane filling station, where the attempted robbery happened yesterday at Mankesi. The suspect is assisting police with investigation in the case of murder related to the late Jane Lance Corporal Kingsley Boaheng. Currently, police has retrieved a pistol and a shotgun from suspect Isaac Ashan. Again, at the scene of crime, police also retrieved cartridges that are suspected to have been fired from the shotgun and the pistol belonging to suspect Isaac Ashan. Investigations are ongoing.
And Accra High Court has directed the Inspector General of Police to file documents detailing the list of policemen who were on duty the day Joy News journalist Latif Idris was assaulted. The IGP is also expected to produce CCTV footage for the day of the event. Latif Idris and the multimedia group dragged the Attorney General and the IGP to court after he was attacked by policemen in March 2018 while covering the arrest of former Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Koku Anyodoho, at the police headquarters. FY Evans Chenry has more.
Latif Idris in March last year sued the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General, demanding 10 million Ghana cedis in compensatory damages for assault by policemen on March 27, 2018. Mr. Idris was assaulted by policemen while covering news of the arrest of former Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress at the police headquarters. Multimedia Group Limited, the second plaintiff, said that Mr. Idris was assaulted in the line of duty on the day of the incident. The plaintiff said that the said occasion or event concerned investigations over serious crimes which provoked public interest and saw a section of citizens massing up at the Criminal Investigations Department headquarters. In court today, the defendants were given up to the 6th of February 2019 to supply the document duly discovered, file witness statement, and return to the court on the 1st of April. The plaintiffs were represented by Rosalind Kaliji, who held brief for Samson Ladia Yeneni for plaintiff, while the IGP was represented by lawyer Ernest Kofi.
Former President Kufuor has once again justified his government's decision to declare Ghana a heavily indebted poor country during his tenure. He explains the decision was the best because of the unfavorable conditions his government inherited, adding that it was significant in putting the economy back on track. The former president also revealed his cabinet did not support the decision back in 2001. He was speaking on the sidelines of the launch of an educational partnership program by Mount West University College and the School of Oriental and African Studies.
Early 2001, 2002, I would remember the state of the economy of our country, and also the fact that the policy of HIPIC was not popular at all. Even though the situation demanded the adoption of that policy, HIPIC, Highly Indebted Poor Country Initiative, not even my cabinet accepted it, readily accepted it. Why? Because they said it was too demeaning for a young government, a new government. We took office 2001 to go to the public and admit to the insolvency of our country. We just couldn't sort of bear the burdens of our debts internationally. So cabinet didn't support it. And not any of our then known economists would support it. I met a number of international, I would describe them as experts. 2001 alone, Ghana needed an amount of 50 million pounds, not cedis, pounds, British pounds, just to pay the interest on our indebtedness to that country. So when I met the ladies and they assured me that if we would take the initiative, Britain would come to the support of Ghana to change the situation, to lighten the burden on us. And I came back to meet my cabinet with this secret up my sleeve. So I dared the economists who were resisting. Said, if you wouldn't go HIPIC, then give me the alternative. And of course, they didn't have any alternative. Soon after we came out like that, Britain was the first country to have virtually cancelled the 50 million pounds that we needed to fund.
You're watching Joy News Round. We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin, CSO's call on government to introduce a number of interventions, including the imposition of higher taxes on the rich as a way of redistributing wealth.
Redistribute from the rich to the poor through progressive taxation. That is to say, increase tax revenues by collecting more from those who have more.
Stay tuned in. We'll be back in a bit. The government, through the Finance Ministry, has established a Forex Development Committee that will look into policy measures and interventions to prevent the recurring depreciation of the cedi from assuming the impact of the central bank. The move follows a promise made by the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, last year that government would establish a bipartisan committee to investigate the structural causes of the cedi's depreciation and propose adequate measures. Opinions are divided on the importance of this move. Member of the committee, Franklin Cudjoe, has been speaking with my colleague Kojo Yangsing about their mandate.
I understand the consternation that has been expressed, not just facially, but through words as well, and almost the satirical aspects of it as well. At the mention of this committee. Precisely so, because the politicians have politicized the issues of the currency. So any semblance of a committee of persons, however eminent, however noble, however disorderly, that have been put together to do something about, understand any aspects of it, could be termed to be probably a superfluous committee, but the sole reason why some of us accepted, in fact my team agreed that I should represent the institution on it, is because we understood the terms of reference quite clearly, and that this is not a parallel body, independent body to usurp the mandate of the Central Bank of Ghana. In fact, the Central Bank has a more powerful representative on the committee, and we've made that clear. I remember during the inauguration, the Deputy Minister made that clear. I also made it clear as well that if anything of the sort were to happen, then it would have deviated from the purpose. But the main reason why the committee, we joined the committee, was because there was an understanding that the transparency needed in the management of currency flows was not enough, which actually meant that looking at the informal sector of that part of the conversation was useful. I think, for instance, that if the government says they have embarked on the paperless POS systems and revenues are being recorded, because a couple of days ago they said there's a 3.2% increase over the last year's revenues. Well, that may seem noble. I believe they could have gotten more had they not embarked on this fishing expedition of revising the benchmark values at the ports for certain goods which were useful, but it's now being bastardized and abused, and the government is losing critical revenue, critical currency that could help shore up its reserves. I should be able to tell the Vice President this, or tell the committee, that the Finance Minister, that, well, you see, while you are trying to do this, there are aspects of your policies that are not helping. This is not something I suspect the Bank of Ghana may know, but it's not really within their remit. I would have to interface with traders to find out this useful information. If they got understanding that the Bank of Ghana's powers were going to be usurped, there was no way of being part of the committee. In fact, if the Bank of Ghana rep had not showed up that day as part of the inauguration and made statements as well to the effect that their powers are not being usurped, I probably wouldn't have joined as well.
The NDC has served notice. It will in the coming days drag the Electoral Commission to court following the EC's decision to go ahead and compile a new electoral management system despite opposition from civil society organizations and other political parties. The party, according to Communications Officer Sami Gyamfi, will also intensify protests and occupy offices of the Commission across the country to make clear its position. He spoke with my colleague Latif Idris.
We maintain that the current system we have is credible, it is performing well, it is not broken, and therefore there is no need for it to be fixed. And we maintain that compiling a new register at the estimated cost of 830 million Ghana cedis is a complete waste of the taxpayers' money. And the people of this country who are going through excruciating pain and hardship should not allow for that to happen.
Elvis Afriyanka said your party would use every legitimate means to ensure that the EC does not compile a new register. Now we are told it's going to happen. What is the next move for your party? Or we should expect that it's over, done deal?
My comrade, Mr. Afriyanka, couldn't have put it any better. I can tell you that as we speak, the leadership of the NDC, together with the leadership of the Inter-Party Resistance Against the New Register, which is made up of 8 other political parties, are in a meeting. And I'm sure by tomorrow, we will be aligning our next course of action. What you have seen so far is just a warm-up, because as we've already served notice, we are going to employ every legally and every legitimate means to ensure that this attempt to abuse the public purse on this wasteful exercise is stopped at all costs. And so be rest assured that, be assured of seeing more demonstrations from us. There will be legal actions, most definitely.
You say you are going to sue the Electoral Commission for embarking on its mandate of compiling a new register?
But the Electoral Commission is enjoined by law to act at all times in accordance with law. Discretionary powers have been vested in them, and that the exercise of that discretionary power is governed by Article 296 of the 1992 Constitution. Okay? Their mandate is also regulated by law. There have been several instances in time past where decisions taken by the Electoral Commission have been outlawed or have been declared as null and void by courts of competent jurisdiction in this country. A whole registration, people forget that the whole registration exercise which was conducted by the Electoral Commission some years back were declared as unconstitutional and, for that matter, null and void by the Supreme Court of Ghana.
Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit.
That President Akufo-Addo says his commitment to the rule of law, upholding individual liberties and independent judiciary cannot be questioned. Addressing business leaders on the sideline of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, President Akufo-Addo said Ghana's economic credentials are remarkable, especially for a conducive business climate.
We believe that a strong market economy is the way forward for our country. A strong market economy with strong companies and enterprises is the ones that will deliver the prosperity that we're looking for. And so doing too. We're not insular. Not only are we Pan-African in outlook, but as far as the rest of the world is concerned too, we're making friends with those who want to be friends with us. We're reaching out and making friendships across the globe. And that freedom to defend, to befriend who we want is a very important matter for Ghanaians. Nobody can tell us who to be friendly with or not to be friendly with. We will make that decision ourselves. You have all the statistics. You've been told about all the things, the good things that are happening in the management of the economy. But the one thing that matters most to me are the people of Ghana, who are a good people, a welcoming people, hospitable people, a kind and generous people. And those are the people that you'll be coming to deal with when you decide to make your decision to come and work in our country. You'll be made to feel welcome from the first day that you arrive. And there are opportunities, all of them have been told to you. But the human capital, the people who are there, are our biggest asset. They are ready also to partner with you to build our country. I belong to the generation that believes very strongly that this 21st century is going to be the African century. And it is going to be so, God willing, with Ghana in front.
Also present at the World Economic Forum was former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Tony Blair, who expressed optimism about the future of Ghana.
Ghana is optimistic about itself, but I am also optimistic about Ghana. My institute is proud to have a partnership with the government of Ghana. We work with governments to try and help deliver change and reform across the continent of Africa. And I really want to begin by paying a word of tribute to the President himself. I've scarcely come across a leader with such clarity of vision, such determination to succeed, and someone so much in tune with the instincts of his people. The President has said, not just within his country, but outside its borders as well, is this concept of Ghana beyond aid, because even though Ghana is happy and proud of the partnerships that it has, it realizes in the end that it's Ghanaians who will decide their own future and by their own efforts. And so the changes that have been made in the country, which are producing strong economic growth, one of the strongest growing economies in Africa and indeed the world, which has seen remarkable macroeconomic adjustments and that great, is Ken here, the finance minister? Where is he, Ken? Yeah. $3 billion bond, that's pretty good going. When I talk to people in different parts of the world, there is a sense that the country is on the move and people want to be part of that story. And when you create that sort of confidence in a country, it has a reinforcing effect. So I think the other thing I would say is that there's still so much potential there to be developed in the tourism sector, in agriculture, in mining. But the important thing, and I say this all the time to outside investors, is that there's a government that's willing and able and anxious to get that investment into the country. The other thing is young Ghanaians are immensely good people to be around. The technology sector is now beginning to take off and thrive in Accra and elsewhere in Ghana, which is really, really important.
In other news tonight, producer price inflation hit 13% for the month of December 2019. That's more on that, plus more coming up in the business news summaries.
Producer price inflation for December last year was 13%, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. This rate is 3.1% points higher than the rate recorded in November 2019 of 9.9%. The German government is providing more than 100 million euros to the District Assembly's Common Fund for Inclusive Development. This forms part of the reform partnership approach between the two countries, which seeks not only to provide financial support, but also technical know-how to host countries, of which Ghana is a beneficiary. The Chartered Institute of Bankers Act 2019, which was recently assented by the President, will be fully operational by the second quarter of the year. When it becomes fully operational, the institute will be in a better position to determine the standard of knowledge and skill to be attained by a person who seeks to practice banking in the country.
All right, that's all for business for now. My name is Sandra Esinamapeno. After 8 p.m., I will surely be back with more business news, but the news continues.
Government has been asked to introduce a number of interventions, including the imposition of higher taxes on the rich, to bridge the gap between the rich and poor. The interventions, which include an increase in the duration of paid maternity leave, was contained in a petition presented to the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection by a coalition of CSOs on Thursday as part of the Global Action Week on Inequality campaign. Joining us is PC Nane Asafo went for the match.
The procession that began from Jamestown had persons from all walks of life who participated in the Global Week of Action on Inequality campaign, commemorated annually from 18th to 25th January. The march was organized by the coalition of CSOs on the Sustainable Development Goals, which brought together scores of street children and the persons with disabilities to present a petition to the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection. For the individuals in the teeming crowd, reasons for joining the march varied from employment needs to that of education.
They are jobless. That's why we are marching, and we think something better should come from it. I'm not in support of the new voters. That affects the inequality in the country in a big way, because I think the money that will be involved in these voters can create jobs for the youth. Especially where we are coming from, Jamestown. Most of us are not working.
Disability, I can't share them. I say my MP out. Now they can't say ya Juma sim said them penifone said you been a Juma as say better now rules out for begging.
To tria school fees any ye Johanniska into ever government in your school free school my name to name.
The group presented the petition to ministry officials with recommendations ranging from government allocating a minimum of 20% budget to better free public education, amending Disability Act to improve inclusiveness in development, and called to review minimum wages. Amongst recommendations also were calls for improved maternity leave systems and increased taxes for the rich to alleviate extreme poverty.
We want government to ensure a minimum of 14 weeks paid maternity leave and the progressive realization of 1 year of paid prenatal leave. Redistribute from the rich to the poor through progressive taxation. That is to say, number one, increase tax revenues by collecting more from those who have more in order to better fund public basic social services.
Acting Director General of Education at the Ministry for Gender and Social Protection, Thelma Ohene-Siama, who received the petition on behalf of Sector Minister Cynthia Morrison, assured the group that the document will be given the necessary consideration.
We have taken hold of it and will deliver it to the Honourable Minister when she returns. So thank you for coming. You are in good hands, and we will make sure that we follow up and the recommendations are implemented. Thank you. All right.
However, the CSOs have warned that they will not be idle on ensuring equal opportunities for all in Ghana. Co-convener for the coalition, Emefa Nate, revealed an evaluation plan to hold government accountable.
The petition should not just be received and placed on a desk somewhere. We expect that the minister will take it and put it into action. And we also want to give the minister the assurance that we have put in place a monitoring framework to monitor the implementation of the recommendations of the activities, so that next year, when we are commemorating this week, we will remind them of how good they have done or how bad they have done.
Events for Ghana's Week in the Fight Against Inequality ends on Friday, 24th January 2020, with lively games set at Jamestown. As the world commemorates Global Week of Action on Inequality, Ghanaians are reminded to up standards in wage gaps, youth employment, gender issues, especially maternity leaves, and so many others. For Joy News, PSA Nanaya Osafo, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Accra.
Some asthmatic school children are reportedly suffering persistent attacks due to high volumes of dust caused by stalled construction work on the main Kumasi Lake Botumchi Road. The teachers say they are compelled to send such children home in order to give them some relief. The situation is said to be typical of many communities in the Ashanti region, where projects have stalled, compelling residents to live with dust pollution, which exposes them to respiratory infections. Love News visited and interacted with residents at various sites.
This is the state of the Sokobang-Daban stretch, a very dusty brownish road left in the state after the contractor stopped working on it months ago. Commuters and drivers have had to endure after several complaints to the authorities have yielded no results. This man would have to help with 40 cedis to water the stretch every day.
22nd January 2019. I say am I adwuma no ye dey ekofom because esi ya no cars no eche nam efuturo ni nti am I esi ya mo emma e no wa be horo cars am I enso yetimi ayi nti every blessed day bia no this me boss ye dey e ma me 40 cities na dey am boys no say ya water kwan no no kura no ya na mako na mfi say ya na mo ye dey mo eba nti say nya say ska we every 40 ye nya adwuma na 40 cities every blessed day no ade a high pa.
At airport turnabout Bokum Airfly stretch is another road that has taken so many years to be worked on. Residents say work started on the Airfly Bokum estate 3 days ago.
As you can see, it's only gravels that they have laid. It's almost 3 days ago they started this project. But as you can see, we don't see any improvements. When it is from 12 noon upwards, you can see dust, massive one, which is causing us a whole lot of, undescribed or a whole lot of disease that we cannot, describe here. So we are just appealing to the central government to come to our aid, to face our problem for us. We know the fact that when you talk about road, it's a major problem that this country is facing. But what else can we do? We are just appealing to them to come and fix our road for us. Wow, each and every 3 days, I need or I'm supposed to go for a maintenance. It's causing harm to my thighs, ball joints, and low arm. And many more. You need to, go for alignment, to check the strength of your steer. I mean,
why is it so? Why?
Well, because of the road. As you can see, the particles on the road. It's very, very hard. Very, very hard. Which is not good for the vehicle or the car.
Meanwhile, the airport runabout Super Stretch has equipment and machines of the contractors Atachi visible on it. The road have therefore been divided into two. So it's rush hour, and most of these commuters will have to drop here, get to the other side, and walk through the main junction to get another vehicle. It is a really tiring situation, a very worrying situation, but that is what they have to endure because the construction of this road has started. So this is the other end of the road. You see behind me a number of people trekking. They are walking to the main junction, main runabout to get another vehicle. It is more than 500 meters from this end to the main junction, so they have to endure that stretch. Government has continuously promised to complete major roads like these in the region before elections. Until then, residents would worriedly endure the dusty nature of these roads, awaiting these promises. Prince Apia reporting.
A final year student of the WEM Zion Senior High School at Otafo in the Eastern Region is struggling to sit after she was subjected to corporal punishment by 2 male teachers of the school for not reporting on time after the mid-semester break in 2019. Mark Adom, a social studies tutor, and one Mr. Zeda, a physics tutor, punished the student on Tuesday for a supposed offense she committed in 2019. The two gave Dora Kumte 3 strokes of the cane each. Meanwhile, her colleagues who didn't report on the day of reopening received only 3 strokes. Maxwell Kudoko has more.
19-year-old Dora Kumate, who is also the class captain for 3-as-1, suffered bruises on the buttocks after the beatings and have since not been able to sit and learn. She can only lie on her stomach or sleep on her sides. How is Dora doing days after her ordeal, and what exactly happened?
I'm getting better, but my buttocks is not getting better.
What's wrong with your buttocks?
It was our teacher that lashed me.
What happened?
He said last semester when we went for midterms and we were supposed to report on the exact date, but I was not feeling well, so I was not able to report on the exact date. And he lashed some of them, which was last semester, but he did not come to our class. So this semester he came around and he lashed us. After he finished lashing me, another teacher also came for the cane saying, "Why didn't I come early?" And he also lashed me, and I had a wound.
Some teachers prevented her from seeking medical attention after she reported the incident to her house mistress. Her condition was not getting better a day after the incident, and she reported to her father, who insisted the school allow her daughter to seek medical attention.
I told Madam Rhoda about it.
That you have wounds at your buttocks?
Yes.
What did she do?
She called one nurse to come and check on it. When the nurse came, she said that she allowed me to come and inject antibiotics. But Mr. Zida called and said he begs on my behalf I shouldn't come to the hospital, blah blah and all those things. So my dad also said I asked to come to the hospital, but that day they refused for me to come. So my dad called the headmaster before they allowed me to come, which was yesterday.
You came here alone or?
I came alone.
A medical doctor at the community hospital, Dr. Charles Debra, disclosed in an interview that Dora reported to the facility with general body pains and particularly with so much pains at the buttocks with bruises.
With general body pains, and especially at the buttocks after she pains. beaten by canes in the school. So she couldn't sit when she came on admission. The pains has reduced as at this morning, but she's yet to sit without pains because of the pains at the buttocks. Bruises, they are bruises. It's not bleeding, it's just the bruises from the lashes she received. They are a little painful when the touch yesterday was very painful. The pains have reduced significantly today.
Headmaster of WBM Zion Senior High School, Mr. Richard Anefi, confirmed the incident. He said the punishment was meted to the students under the supervision of an assistant headmaster, an account which has been refuted by some students. It is worth noting that the Ghana Education frowns on caning children and has a document which promotes alternative ways of disciplining the child.
If a student became, it should be under the supervision of an authority. And as I made mention earlier, I said that all these things were done under the supervision of the assistant. So that's how it was supervised in the case.
When Joy News contacted the Ebuakwa South District Directorate of the Ghana Education Service, the office denied knowledge about the issue and requested that we give them time to investigate. Maxwell Kudoko report from Kukwantumi in the Eastern Region.
Right, and Maxwell Kudoko joins me on the line now with the very latest. So, Maxwell, apparently the Ghana Education Service has intervened at this point.
We can report that the district director, during my interaction with her, indicated that the matter has not come to her desk. But immediately I left the office, I had information that he visited the secondary school, had an interaction with the headmaster of the school, and immediately after that he went to the hospital this afternoon, a community hospital, to also interact with the lady or the victim in question. She requested that I give her some time to investigate and then also take an action accordingly. But currently, the lady lives with the parents at Damango in the northern region. But she has some few relatives in Koforidia and then around the Kobo area. So the father requested that the relatives come and then take care of the lady in question. As of this evening, the relatives requested that the community hospital give or transfer the lady to the Koforidia, the Eastern Regional Hospital, which is more closer to them, so that they can take care of the victim. So as I speak with you, she's been transferred from the community hospital from Ukwantumi to the Eastern Regional Hospital. But interestingly, the one of the aunties who is taking care of her just informed me that the doctor who transferred them from the community hospital to the regional hospital did not attach any transfer letter, nor add, as it were, attach any records of the victim. So the doctor at the regional hospital had to start a thorough investigation on the lady from the scratch. We are told that she's been given some medication and she's been asked to go home and report to the regional hospital in a week's time.
All right, thank you very much, Maxwell Kudoko, with that update. The war against the activities of illegal mining, or galamsey, is still raging in parts of the country. In the Sutify North District of the Ahafo region, though, the District Chief Executive, Anthony Mensah, and Sutify Police Commander, DSP Teddy Brown, both say there have been significant inroads. The Assembly, however, says it is seeking the assistance of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry to help them broker a deal with mining giant Newmont Gold Ghana Limited. There's more in this report.
Some 62 galamseyers were arrested and prosecuted late last year when they encroached portions of Newmont's land in an attempt to force the mining company to agree to their demands of ceding portions of their land for small-scale mining. According to the DCE, Anthony Mensah, an agreement with the mining giant will completely curb the galamsey menace, while the company also works in peace.
As an assembly, we have also sat down with the community galamseyers and then the Newmont to see if there will be the need for them to help them to have the opportunity to work on some other areas where they think it will be good for them to do their small-scale mining. My plea is to talk to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to come and then help us get solutions to these problems in order not to go through, because we are being pressured. It's like always we are solving problems between the company and the illegal miners. And like I said from the beginning, if you're able to get some police for them to help solve the problem that the people or the galamseyers go close to where Newmont is working.
He also said, while about 500 galamseyers who have been registered wait to be part of the community mining, proactive security measures are in place.
You know, previously, while people, it was difficult to even convince them to stop the activities. But it took the intervention of some of us because we are local people where we understand our people and they also understand us. And so we spoke to them very well and they understood us. When they stopped, the expectation was that the community mining was going to come on. And we have registered about 500 people, galamseyers, and then they are waiting to have their community mining. And so if we are to get the community mining, then we see that we are making a headway. And then the galamsey situation, as you ask, stopping it is winnable.
Meanwhile, Esitufi Police Command confirmed the arrest and prosecution of the 62 people, adding the new Ahaf Regional Command has devoted a lot of attention to rid the galamseyers out of the area. DSP Teddy Brown is the Esitufi Police Commander.
2 years ago, the galamsey activity was very intensive over here. But for the past, I can say for the past 1 month or 1.5 months, it has reduced drastically because we have introduced patrol from the region. Now the region, they used to come here to assist us in doing a patrol over here. So we've had a good number of people from Goso because now we have our own region and we have our own regional commander. So the regional commander has been helping us in doing the patrols. And 3 weeks ago, he came down here and we made an arrest of 62 illegal miners, and they were all sent to court. That has also made them not to enter into the galamsey area.
Have withdrawn his representatives from the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly and other assemblies in the Ashanti region. Mantamahene Bafo Owusu Amankwetia explains this is because the traditional council feels sidelined in local governance representation in the various assemblies. He revealed the assembly formerly had 5 representatives on the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly and other assemblies, but that number has been reduced to 1 by the central government. The Bantamahene, who is representing the Asantehene at the inauguration and swearing in of the 8th Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, stressed a formal letter has been sent to the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei Mensah.
Fix them as well. We're saying that even today, I got to know that the government has appointed 20. They are unelected members. They are 20, and the elected members are 40. You see, so ask yourself, what fraction does the chiefs form of the entire, council? We form an insignificant fraction. So how can we behead? That is all we are saying. Give us our due. The time has come, and we are insisting on it.
So those who are sworn in, they cease to be members.
You hear from us on that. Well, first of all, I didn't send a circular. It was written by the Chief of Staff of Menchia Palace, and I had a copy. I was one of the personalities who were copied, and I quoted what was in the letter to you. And the letter was saying that they are getting the impression that chiefs are being sidelined by the government because our representation of KMA was 5, and now it's gone to 1. And the chief executive was telling me it's 2. But we are saying that we are being sidelined The reason being that we play a very serious role in the running of this country. Now, I believe that we went to Accra on this Galamsey issue. I think the whole of the chiefs in Ghana. Now, we were addressed by the president, and the first thing he said was that there can be no serious, mobilization in this country without the involvement of the chiefs. And that is the reason why he's called us all to Accra. So that goes to emphasize, on certain times that we have a role to play. So today, when I was talking about that, that was what I was referring to. And it came from Menchia, it didn't come from me.
Right, so the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has in the last few hours reacted to the reports that have gone out and what has been said by the Bantamahene, and I'm going to be sharing that with you. Essentially, they're saying that the attention has been drawn to the reports, but they describe the reports as not only misleading but total representation of the statement made by the representative of Otumfuo Setutu II at the inauguration ceremony of the 8th Assembly of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, who was chairman of the occasion. Says Bafo Asare-Owusu Amankwatia the 6th, in his statement, indicated that Menchia previously had 5 representatives among the government appointees to the Assembly and wondered why Menchia now has 1 or 2 representatives at KMA. The Mayor, Honorable Osei Esibe Entry, quickly explained to Bafo and the general public that Kumasi has now been split into 7 assemblies, namely Asokori Mampong Municipal, Tafo Suame, Kwadaso, Asokwa, Ufurikrum, and the KMA. And as a result, Menchia now has 1 representative each at all the municipal assemblies and 2 at KMA, making the total number of Menchia appointees 8 instead of the previous 5. Bafo Asare-Owusu Amankwatia the 6th understood the explanation given by the mayor, and the program continued to successfully produce a presiding member to steer the affairs of the assembly in the next 2 years. Now, for the very latest on this story, we're going over onto the phone lines to speak with Kwesi Deborah, who is at Love FM in Kumasi. Now, Kwesi, we have had this back and forth going on. What exactly is going on there?
Israel, like you explained, with the explanation that the chief executive of Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly gave, with how this whole thing unfolded, that is true. And yes, at the beginning of the program, Bafo Amankwatia made those statements, and he approached him, as in they are on the same podium, so he approached him, and of course he talked about it. But after the program, Bafo Amankwatia stressed what he said earlier.
All right.
So this case where the chief executive is trying to make it seem that all is well, but what Bafo Amankwatia told us after the program is like all is not well. They are not happy with the fact that they are having only 2 representation on the KMA, and this is why. And with what he explained, with what you heard so far from Bafo Amankwatia, Greater Kumasi is where Asante his feet is. This is where they exert much of their influence. This is where everything takes place. And with what he said, they can't work from the periphery. They have to work from the middle. That's the center. And you bringing down the numbers from 5 to 2 means that they are not having greater representation. So when it comes to issues of the affairs of the people and also security, which is paramount to the people of Kumasi, it means they're going to have very small representation and things that they might not be able to, as it were, push things very well. So this is where they're having problems. The representation on the KMA is too small. 2 is too small for them. And they are threatened that unless they do something about it, they would have to, the letter which has gone forth to the ministry and also the regional minister, that is what they are saying. That if they don't do anything about it, it means that they would have to withdraw their members, the 2 members who are on the KMA now, and also from the other assemblies.
Now,
just to register their displeasure.
Yeah, Kwesi Deborah, considering the amount of influence that Asantehene wields, and in fact Menchia wields, how do you see this ending up?
With the whole thing, I'm thinking that with what we heard so far, unless they do something about it, they will withdraw. And with we know how Bafo Mankwetia is, and we know how the whole Asante royals and everything, the power that there is, that when they say something, they go forth and do it. And so what I'm expecting is that with what he said, the KMA will take something out of it, and maybe correct the anomaly. But if that doesn't happen, then it means that what Bafo Mankwetia said is going to come to pass.
It appears there are some undercurrents to all of this. Are you able to explain where this is coming from?
And with a statement that the chief executive brought out, that the mayor or says the NG, is the whole division, the restructuring of the whole assembly thing, where you're having, they would have to reduce the numbers from 5 to 2. That's where it went. And they are thinking that it's as if they are trying as much as possible to reduce their influence on this whole KMA thing, their influence on Asante.
Yeah.
So that's their feeling. That's the base feeling coming from Bafo Mankwetia. They feel they are being
sidelined. Yeah.
And they would have to prove that in fact the land belongs to them.
All right. Thank you very much, Kwesi Deborah. Overcrowding and the lack of place of convenience are the two issues that are worrying the 45 assembly members who took the oath of office at the Wa Municipal Assembly. The conference was well attended, with some members and the invited guests not securing a place to sit and having to stand throughout the entire duration of the program. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports the anger and disappointment of the newly inaugurated members of the Wa Municipal Assembly.
Full to the brim, no blade of space to walk on. The 50-seater capacity Wa Municipal Assembly conference room has been stretched more than its elastic limit. Over 150 people, including 31 elected members and 15 government appointees of the Assembly, took the oath of office under sweltering heat with intermittent blackout from via raided coal.
A hall that is meant for about 50 people is forced or compelled today to take about 150 people. So definitely it's expected that the heat will be generated. And of course, that is what we have just seen. And you see that the electricity too is not stable. So it comes intermittently. So the air conditioners cannot function effectively. So that is what has accounted for the heat in the, Assembly Hall.
The Assembly members are not happy with the situation as they storm out of the hall with beads of sweat on their faces.
As a technician, construction technologies, and using this hall for Wa Municipal, in fact, is a call for. Look, you can even see I'm still sweating coming out from an inaugural ceremony. It's not easy.
To add insult to injury, there is no place of convenience at the U-shaped block of the Assembly.
I'm disappointed, always disappointed. Even as I'm not here, we don't have a grand place for Assembly members. We don't have where to eat. For the past 12 years that I'm here, we don't have where to eat. We eat outside with school children, and which is very bad. So see, our planners, they are putting trouble into us. They're not doing well at all with us. I'm pleading with the MCA and the Assembly administration. Let's find a decent place for us to do our own things.
The Wa Municipal Assembly started alongside the Sisala East and Lora municipalities, and today both of them are conducting official activities on a two-story facility. The only attempt the Wa Municipal Assembly made to put up an office complex was during the era of Mark Adam Banda. The construction of a three-story building kick-started in 2003 and has remained at the ground floor stage ever since he was removed from office after 17 months.
So I took over the place. I realized that the contractor was not performing, and he himself had to come and tell us that he can no longer go along with the contract. So he tendered in a letter advising us that he can no longer move with the contract, so we have to terminate the contract. So as we terminated the contract, we gave information to the Common Fund Administration and the local government ministry, and plans are advanced to come and complete the building for us. They send down engineers to come and do assessment of the structural integrity of what we have there at the moment, and they concluded that they can still continue with what they have there at the moment. So we are waiting And this month, inshallah, they've already awarded the first batch of contracts and the second batch will come. So by March, we are hopeful that the place will be awarded on contract and we will have a befitting complex for one municipality.
Earlier, Upper West Region Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali, reading a speech on behalf of President Akufo-Addo, was not happy with unplanned and haphazard development in municipal assemblies in the country.
Slums being developed in marshy areas and houses built on waterways have become a phenomenon with serious implications to national development and public safety. As you are sworn in today, work with your assemblies to ensure compliance with the building rules and regulations on the zoning and development of lands, and ensure that lands are developed according to approved plans and designated land use to avoid flooding and accompanying loss of lives and property.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
And in the northern region, the Minister for Local Government, Haji Halima Mahama, has expressed disappointment at the low representation of women at the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly. The assembly had 41 members elected, with no woman securing a place. Meanwhile, out of the 18 appointed by government, only 3 are women. Martina Bugri has more.
Speaking to the media after the inaugural ceremony of the Tamale Metro Assembly in the northern region, at least 5 should have been women to serve in the assembly. She said women have demonstrated their abilities in the mobilization of resources and would have lived up to expectation. Haji Halima said women need to be encouraged to take up public positions.
We want to at least start and then improve on incrementally. So soon the affirmative bill will be in Parliament. And of course, I'm disappointed. 41 elected, not a single woman. I'm disappointed. We have 3 appointed. But if we had had even 5 out of 41, it would have had a good case. And women do well. They would have been able to demonstrate our ability and mobilization effects. And unfortunately, we didn't get it. But I'm also saying that women sometimes need encouragement to take public position. So you, the men, also encourage women in the electoral areas. You know some women who are capable. Give them some encouragement.
Earlier in a speech on behalf of the president, the local government minister raised concerns about the indiscriminate and unplanned development of most cities in the country. She urged the newly sworn in to work with the assembly to ensure compliance of laws on building rules and regulations.
One major challenge is the unplanned and haphazard development currently going on in most assemblies. Slums being developed in marshy areas and houses built on waterways. This has become a phenomenon with serious implications to national development and public safety. As you are sworn in today, work with your assemblies to ensure compliance with the building rules and regulations on the zoning and development of lands, and ensure that lands are developed according to approved plans and designated land use to avoid flooding and accompanying loss of lives and property. Streamlining and reducing the period for granting building permits to potential developers is critical to manage development control and reduce the cost of doing business.
Haji Halima tasked the assembly to use its bylaws to tackle issues of sanitation in the area.
Section 12(3)(f) of the Local Governance Act 2016 and 936 specifies that assemblies shall be responsible for the development, improvement, and management of human settlements and the environment in the districts. The Act also empowers the assemblies to make bylaws to address issues of waste management, licensing, monitoring evaluation service providers, solid waste collection and management, and any other matters that demand local regulations in order to achieve and maintain a clean and healthy environment. And as charge your assembly to use its bylaws to enforce compliance in sanitation management and environmental health standards.
At the end of voting to elect a presiding member, Mohammed Alassan, the assemblyman for Nakpanzo, pulled 43 votes to beat Isa Abubakar, who pulled 17 votes.
Thank you very much, Apito. That's it for the bulletin. I'm Israel Lai. Thank you very much for watching, and please continue to observe the road traffic regulations so that you can arrive alive. Have a good night.